All right, what is going on, dudes and dudettes? Time for another Friday Bitcoin analysis with your host, myself, Cobra Trading. Let's get right into the charts and not waste any time. So we did end up closing a monthly candle and it was bullish. It was a bullish candle. It wasn't too super bullish. It wasn't a bullish engulfing, but it was bullish nonetheless. And on our first week open, this candle is not closed yet. It closes in just a couple days, but it's actually looking like we did put in a new monthly low, obviously, because it's the first week, as well as a monthly high here at the top of this wick. And it's looking like we're going to close a bearish hammer here. I think if we drop down into this territory and we start seeing a close below 95, 9,200 or so, we're going to sweep these monthly lows and then we're going to come down to test further at around 9K, which is still a pretty key area between 88 and 9K, which I'm going to get into in just a minute. On our weekly chart, it's looking like if you zoom in really close here, it's looking like on the close of this weekly chart, we're going to have a confirmed bearish cross on our MACD. And it's looking like also that our RSI up here is not topping out, but just kind of hitting resistance there at like that 56 mark. It can't really get too far above there and stay there. So ATR is sitting right in the middle. Nothing new there. Let's go ahead and look at a daily chart. So on the daily chart, you can see these levels a little more in depth here of our monthly low and our monthly high that we just put in here in the last couple days. So there was a lot of volatility in here with these two candles. I kind of want to call this an SFP, but that normally happens within an hour or two. And this happened in the span of 2 days. So I don't know whether to call that an SFP or not. I'm going to have to, I guess, look at the rules of, what validates and invalidates an SFP. So I'll take a look into that later on. And also, by the way, I'm not going to get too heavy into Elliott-Wave analysis today because I want this video to be a little shorter. I don't want them to be more than 10 minutes, but I am going to be making sure all of my counts are up to date and doing a more in-depth Elliott-Wave count after the weekly close for my Monday video. So stay tuned for that. Make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button so that you get updates for when I release all of my videos. Anyway, coming back down and looking at this, we actually tested perfectly on this candle, the top of this box. And this box is a very, very well-known zone at this point. It's a huge level of support and resistance. And there is a lot of support in here. In general, people don't really want to see Bitcoin going below 9,000 again. Totally understandable. So that's pretty much what we got here on this daily chart. As I mentioned, we're kind of having an issue staying above this 56 level on the RSI. And on the daily chart, we actually already have our bearish confirmed cross. However, this still is in bullish territory. If you work your way down to a 4-hour chart, you can see here that in the price action, we actually had this really weak, I think this is why this broke down. This is a really weak looking pennant here, right? It's a bullish pennant because we started forming it from the bullish side with this big bullish candle. But look at these candles in here, right? We've got a doji, a spinning top, a doji, a spinning top. That's really, really weak price action. Just a lot of major battles, like the price not really going anywhere very quickly. Pretty much a spinning top here. Now we're going sideways and we actually just retested the bottom of this pennant trend line here. So on our MACD, we have already, again, lower time frame. Lots of confluence here with the MACD from the 4-hour and above with the bearish cross, and the 4-hour is definitely about to be going into bearish territory. So I think if this candle closes to the bearish side and we see a close around 96.50 or so, with this current candle that just opened up, we've got about 3.5 hours left. If this does go further down to the downside, I do see both of these probably closing in bearish territory, which would probably signal the fact that this is losing strength here. It looks like we wicked the bottom of this trend line perfectly, like to the dollar. So really, really good there. Anyway, lower time frame again. It looks like on the 1 hour, the MACD is trying to cross over into bullish territory. It's looking really weak here in terms of price action, though. So let me actually come back up to a weekly chart, and I want to show you guys what everything looks like on the Ichimoku cloud. Anyway, on this daily chart, really the only thing that's notable here, because we've already been above this cloud for so long, the only thing that's really notable is that we've been using our Kijinsen, that's the blue line, as support for a very long time. We've used it literally the entire way up here. We used it here, we used it here, here, and then again here. Here we broke below it and then regained it, and here we're using it at support. Normally in an uptrend, this is pretty typical. However, with Bitcoin, what I notice is that normally after you test this 3 or 4 times, normally it ends up breaking down. This is looking a little weak here. Like I would expect if we get another candle close below this, that we would definitely be retesting once and for all the actual 50 EMA here on the daily chart, which is right around $9,000, where our point of control is here. This is just straight up looking like a diagonal here. It's not, honestly, it's not looking too great. We've been kind of testing this trend line. If you connect these two wicks down here on the daily chart, we kind of had a throw over. We tested the upper part of this trend line. This what defines this upper trend line. And now we just kind of like retested the bottom of this, and the bottom of this is holding support, but really for how much longer? I really don't think we're going to be coming up and testing, 10,500 or 10,200 really quickly, especially if you look at this this range over here, the volume. It's just really weak up here. There's just, above 9,800, 9,900, there's just no demand up here, no demand at all. And the reason why is because of everything that's going on with the economy and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get too much into the Elliott-Wave theory. I do have this whole thing though. You guys have seen this before since our $20,000 top. I still have this as an A, B, C, D, E correction in the general scheme of things, if you take all of Bitcoin's entire structure into account. So what I did want to point your attention to, though, is these trend lines that I have drawn from this 2020 top. I'll zoom in here to a weekly chart to illustrate this. So I drew 3 here. The first one connects the first wick to the first wick. Then I've got one from the first wick to the second wick, and the first wick to the third wick. So the reason why I did this is these levels have been really key in terms of getting tested. In fact, we did 1, 2, 3, right? That defined the initial trend lines. And we tested this first one, broke above it, tried to test the second one, failed, broke down. And now that we're back up here again, we tested the first one, rejected, broke through it, tested the second one, rejected, didn't break down through the first one though, which is bullish. We used that as support, opened up a new candle, tested the second trend line again. And now it's looking like this week that even though we're going to get a bearish hammer here, probably, it's looking honestly like this is kind of like the slightly bullish case, just in terms of like candlestick theory and these trend lines, is if we close above this and we tested this third one, that's awesome. We haven't managed to test this trend line at all. This is the first time since the trend line was defined back here at our 14K top. That's actually really, really awesome. So the fact that we tested that is really, really good. Now, were we able to get a close above this previous high here at 10,500? No, we were not. Were we able to test those price levels though? Yes. And that is a good thing. So I think what might end up happening here is, if we retest this bottom trend line and just kind of get a doji here, the doji would be bearish. This is a bearish candle. But if we're able to hold this trend line next week, even to the downside to like 9,200, if we're able to hold this trend line, I think the next time that we attempt a move upwards, if this count is invalid, we stand a really good chance of breaking above this. So that's like my bullish case in terms of looking at candlestick theory with these trend lines. I just want to draw your attention to the trend lines, not necessarily the count. As I mentioned on Monday, I'm going to not be updating this count, but be updating my bullish count and everything to kind of see how everything plays out after all of the price action is over with on the weekend and we get that weekly candle close. That's all I got for you guys today. Like I mentioned, make sure you like and subscribe so that you get updated with all of my videos. On Monday, I'm going to go ahead and do the updated Elliott-Wave counts and all of that good stuff. So stay tuned for next time. Enjoy your weekend and happy trading.